Okay, Pei Zayin Amud Beis, new Perik 10, Perik Asiri. Pei Zayin Amud Beis. So we did the mission yesterday, but I didn't know it so well, and today I didn't go much further. I didn't have my regular time to prepare. So we can do as best as we could. I'm not sure if we'll see how it goes. So if we start again a bit slower than yesterday. Haisha Shalach Bala Lemdina Sam. It doesn't have too much to do with yevamos. The yevamos does come in a little bit, but it's not much yevamos. Haisha Shalach Bala Lemdina Sayam. Uvav Amrula Meis Balach. A woman whose husband went overseas, and they came and told her that your husband died. So it doesn't say who came and told her. They came. It does sound like plural, but the Gemara is going to say that when the end of the Mishnah, we're going to see that Reish over here doesn't mean that there were two Eidim. It means there's only one Eid. And Amrullah means there was a rumor, whatever, people told her. And then, but the point is only one Eid. And one Eid is not enough to get married. So here it doesn't say Mutar Rasur, it says Venisas. She got married. So it still has to be explained. Does that mean she was supposed to, allowed to? She got married. What? So we don't understand that the sugya is going to take a long time to get there. So we don't know. I don't know, it's not mine. Okay, not out there. The Nisa, maybe I like gold, maybe the. No, that's not a money table over here. And that's also going to be today. The Gemara is going to talk about it. But the Gemara is really very vague in the Mishnah to know all this, because the Mishnah says they told her, but we're supposed to figure out that it means that there was one Eid and she got married, and it doesn't talk about the Chachila, but it talks about what's going to be. And then her husband arrives, and he wasn't dead. So it's a big surprise and catastrophe that she got married in between. And now the husband comes, and he's the real husband. So before we start anything further, a married woman that has relations with another man, that's nus, and usually korban chayv korban chatas. Before, if it would have been amazing, it's chayv chenek, been shogeg is chayv korban, and also a woman is mazana, so then she's just with her husband. That's the whole din of sota. That sota, we're not sure if she was mazana, so Hashem said, I'll let you know. I'll show it to you to verify if she's innocent or not. But if she would have definitely had relations, then she's also to her husband. So what's the din over here? But if she would have been an onus, then she's mutter to her husband. If it was bemazed, it's also to her husband.
So a lady that just one time goes and sees somebody,
she's also to her husband. She has to get divorced. I heard some kind of stories like this in certain communities. It's such a thing, of course, and she's also to her husband. If they would know that, I don't know if they would do it. That is, she's also to her husband. That's it. She has to get divorced.
Only if she goes. If she's forced,
if a woman is mazana, she's also to her husband. So here, the case was that that's when it's onus over there. Then you talk about if it's a kohen or not. Husband's a kohen, then even bonus. But if it's a Eishes Israel, so if she's been so then also to her husband, even one time. So here the case was that it wasn't so bad. She thought he died. She didn't do it. It's not called mamish b'ratza, but she had some kind of reason to think that he's dead. But the Maaseh he wasn't. So the Mishnah is going to say what Allah is. So it's going to say all the chumras. It lists about 14 or more chumras that it goes. And we said yesterday it goes down till the made us to make the simanim over here. It's going to go down more or less till here. That's going to be till Rabbi Yossi. Then it's going to be three opinions that are arguing on some points. But till the whole list until 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6.5 lines down, it's all going to be the chumras that we're going to throw at this lady, most of them, to show that it's not that's not. So you're saying already a pshat, which is going to be the Gemara, but that you're saying it is an order that you should think twice. Could be. That's what that's the maskana. That's the Gemara is going to say that, but we don't see it in the words yet. Here it just says that if it is what happened, this is the halacha. First of all, that she has to leave both of them. She can't stay married to either one of them. So with the second one is Pashut, he's not the husband. The first one is a chiddush, that even though he's the real husband, and she didn't mean to be Mazana, she thought she had testimony that he died, but she can't stay with him anymore. We don't look at it like an onus. And she has to get divorced from him also. She needs a get. Means the second one really wouldn't need a get. She's not married to him. The marriage doesn't take place. If she's married to her first husband, and even if she thought she got married, she had the chuppah and kedushin, but there's nothing. It wasn't a marriage. But we have make a chumrah that she should have a get. So ksuba means that there's a chiv ksuba that a husband has to a wife, and she got a ksuba from the first husband, and she got ksuba for the second husband. She thought that the first husband died, and now she doesn't get that ksuba. Means even if he would divorce her, he doesn't have to pay ksuba. If he would have died, she doesn't get ksuba. Below payros. Payros means that usually payros is what the husband gets. The husband gets the right to eat the profits of the woman's estate. Here the case would be that even if it would be the case that she would have, he wasn't allowed to take payros. He took more than he was allowed to take, so she doesn't get it back. Low payros, she doesn't get those payros. Even the payros that he owes her, whatever the case is, he doesn't have to give it back to her. She loses. She's everything she's going to lose here. Maybe one or two things we'll see. Zonos, that she doesn't have a right to get support from either of the husbands. And then we had the Gemara before. Of course, she doesn't get support. You have to divorce her. So we're not going to tell them to support her. They have to divorce her. But the point would be, even if she would have borrowed money when he wasn't in his absence, like the Dina Sayam, he went overseas. She didn't have money to eat, so she borrowed money, and now she wants reimbursement for the money that she had borrowed in order to eat. So no, she doesn't have a right to collect Amazonas either. Below. The word bala means to get worn out, and that's the way the Gemara calls when she brought in things into the marriage and they're still here. The reason why it's called below means that it's worn out, means it's been used, but below is kayomin. I think that's the Gemara might say someplace that it's still around, and it's her clothing. She brought into the marriage, and she wants to take it back. She's getting divorced. She wants to have it. No, she doesn't have the right to get that either. Lo al from either husband. Any of these things that she had gotten, she took it for some reason. Sometimes Allah is going to be that she doesn't get something, but if you got it, so then those kind of things that even if she shouldn't have gotten it, but once she got it, we don't take it away. But here it says no. If she took from any of these things from either one of them, ksuba, payros, mazonos, belos, also she has to pay back. Yes.
These below the marriage. That's in the category of her own, or that's next to Mulub, next to Barsa. Where do we put?
I think it could be one of the two. I think it could be one of those two. I don't, but I don't know. I don't know enough. The children are going to be mamzerim. So of course, the children from the second marriage, of course, are mamzerim because she's really a married woman. If it was a mistake or not, they're mamzer because she was a married woman. They had relations with another man. They had children because I'm mamzerim. That's not a chiddush. The chiddush is from the first husband. So of course, the kids that were born before he went overseas, they don't make mamzerim. But if they went back to live again, even though she's really married to him, and even though she was mazana, usually that doesn't make her into chayvi krisus. It means if she goes back to the first husband, even if she was mazana, it's not going to make the kids mamzerim. But here we make the kids mamzerim. It sounds like a mamzer rabbanan. It doesn't sound like a mamzer deraisa because really she's married to him. Even though she was mazana, doesn't make that. If she goes back to her husband, doesn't make the kids mamzerim. Here it says we consider them mamzerim. Neither one of the husbands, if they're kohanim, may become tamei because even the second one surely because she's not really married to him, but the first one she's really married to him. So if before he had a chance to divorce her, she died. So he's not considered a relative that he should be able to become tamei to her. He can't become tamei because the kohen he can't be tamei to her. Below zev says lo b'mitziyasa, lo b'masiyah there, lo b'aforos and the rest. So this list is a little bit different until now. Until now, we were taking away rights from her. Yeah, there are three things that it says that he doesn't have the rights to what usually he has. Usually, a husband has rights to the findings of his wife, the earnings of his wife, and he has a right to nullify the vows of his wife. So here it says that he loses that. The husband doesn't have the right to have the findings of his wife. If from now on, before they got divorced, the wife found something, and the husband says it's mine, so we say no, it's not his. So I'm not sure the reason yet. We have to see the Gemara more. I don't know the reason, but it could be because this is all part of the marriage. That usually when the marriage is the way it's supposed to be, so then they made a takana that she should get her findings and her earnings. But over here, that we don't get, he doesn't have the obligations of a husband to a wife, so she doesn't have her things don't go to him either. Or maybe it's a knas also. No, is that a knas? He doesn't want to break the marriage to show that it's not a marriage. I'm not sure the reason of these things. Here we're taking away things from him. And we say that he doesn't have a right to her findings, he doesn't have a right to her earnings. Usually a regular husband, everything's going well. So then if he's supporting her and he's taking care of all her needs, but if she earns money, so then it goes to the husband. And if means he supports her, and if she earns money, it goes to him. There's a question if she could say that don't support me and I'll keep my own earnings. That's a question, but that's not asking to being subas. But usually the way it is that the husband supports the wife and her earnings go to him. And also if she finds something, her findings go to him. But here, they cut it off and he has no right to her findings or to her earnings. And also, first in the red, that usually husband has a right to nullify his wife's Nedarim. That's Maseches Nedarim. All these things are going to be coming up. The next Maseches Ksubos, after that is Nedarim. So we'll learn all these things, Be'ez Hashem. But here, they're not considered married as far as this goes. The next thing is that Aisa Bas Yisrael Nipsalam and Akuna, Bas Levi and Amaisa, Bas Pam and Truma. That the fact that she was a woman that had relations with a man that she's not married to, so this would be a psula. She was nivelola pasala, that she had relations with a man that she's not allowed to. So she becomes pasal. What does pasal mean? So usually it means from kuna and truma. That means that she's not allowed to marry a kohen, and she can't eat truma if she's a bas kohen. It means even if it's out her yichah, she's a bas kohen, but she can't eat truma because she was mazana. So that's what it seems to say. But it says one more thing, that bas levi min ha-ma'aser. So we spoke about ma'aser in the past couple of segments, that we hold that ma'aser rishon is chulin, anybody's allowed to eat it. And the Gemara is not going according to that. There's no isser for a zona, even if she's considered a zona, because she was mazana, she had relations with a man, not her husband, but that doesn't make her usher to eat ma'aser. So the Gemara is going to say it's going according to Rav Meir. Rav Meir is the one we had a couple of pages already, that Rav Meir holds that ma'aser is the same thing as truma. But truma is to a kohen, ma'aser is to a levi, and a non-kohen, a non-levi, just like a non-kohen cannot eat truma, so a non-levi cannot eat ma'aser. Of course, a kohen could because he's a levi also, but Yisrael is not allowed to eat ma'aser. And according to that, also, it seems that Rav Meir would hold that zona is not allowed to eat ma'aser. That would be the first of the words. The Gemara is going to say different. The Gemara is going to explain something, but so far that's what the words might seem like, that a Bas Levi that was Mazana is not allowed to eat ma'aser, according to Rav Meir. So that's what the Mishnah says. Bas Yisrael and Nefselis min Akuna, Bas Levi min ha-ma'aser, Bas Kohen min ha-truma. So all it goes to Yisrael, Bas Yisrael, Bas Levi, Bas Kohen. The first thing, of course, is the relative is to anybody that Nefselis min Akuna, she's not allowed to marry a Kohen. A Bas Levi surely is not allowed to. A Bas Kohen surely not allowed to, because she was called a Nivelol Apostle. It means even a Bas Yisrael, that she doesn't have truma anyway, she doesn't have ma'aser anyway. But the point she had till now was she's allowed to marry a Kohen. And now she's not allowed to marry a Kohen anymore. Since she was Nivelol Apostle, she had relations with a man that she's not allowed to, so she becomes a zona and she's not allowed to marry a Kohen. Well, be the case. Yesterday somebody asked, of course she can marry a Kohen because she's going to get divorced. Right now she's married. So she's going to get divorced anyway. She won't be. So Macharusa said, what? Right. So how could? So and also even if the husband's a Kohen, also she hasn't asked her husband anyway. So what is the Mishnah saying? So Macharusa said, even if the guy died, the husband died before he had a chance to give her a get. Even if both of them died. Even if both of them would have died, after they heard the story, both of them died. But now she can't marry a Kohen because she's a zona, Nivelol Apostle. Besides, even if it'd be no get, means you have to find a scenario where there's no get. So the case will be both of them died. So she can't marry a Kohen because she was a zona. She had relations with a man other than her husband. But Slavi man Amaisa, we said because it's a zona, and according to a mayor, Lachora. The Gemara is going to change this, but that's what the Mishnah seems to say, that according to a mayor, the same way a non-Kohen cannot eat Meiser, so a zona also cannot eat Meiser. But stay tuned, that we'll see. Something's going to change over there. And
If she didn't know any of these things.
that's the case. The case is she didn't know what. What didn't she
She
know?
didn't know the halachas. She didn't know that there was the danger about it.
She didn't know the risk. She didn't know the
She had
risk.
no idea about
So we'll get to the Gemara that you know already. So we'll say that you said that okay, we'll hold on to it. But if it's because of that, so then we tell her all that. We're telling her permission to get married, but you should know you're taking a big risk.
The Rabbanim are giving it over.
But it doesn't say so. Here it says this is halacha. It doesn't say any reasons.
The college teacher teaches it.
That's the thing, that these cases that we talk about, that if women don't know that they have relations out of marriage, they become hostile to their husband. It's very important that people should know. People should know that when a woman gets married, she should know that if she has relations out of marriage, of course, the regular from Beis Yaakov girl, doesn't have, but a person who's a little bit not so reserved, so she should know if she has relations out of marriage, she's going to be hostile to her husband. She's going to have to get a get. So
The question is, does he have to believe her?
I guess a different question. If he doesn't, that's the question. If she comes and says I was Mazana, it's not enough proof that it happened. But if the husband finds out that she was Mazana, he's not allowed to live with her. He has to get a get. He has to get a get. Very serious thing. I mean, I wouldn't have thought that it happens, but if people told me that these things happen, So,
The function.
and so they don't notice halacha that they become a husband. It's not a one-time event. It's a change over the whole life. Ubas kohen min truma. That's simple. This part is simple because she was mazana. The fact that she had relations, so we had it in that zone is asati truma. Yesterday I forgot, but yes, that's a lot we had in Nafsamaches that the apostle from truma from Kohen. So that's what it says here. So the beginning of the Mishnah means the first line. I mean, this beginning of the line that Nifsel is to marry a Kohen, and the last one being that she can eat truma. That's because of the same halacha that she's a zona. Zona is not allowed to eat truma, not allowed to eat, and can marry a Kohen. And the middle halacha, it seems to say that according to our mayor, a zona is not allowed to eat meiser either. And we'll see if the Gemara changes something about that. And no of the two of the Yorshim from either husband would get her ksuba. So what does that mean? At this point, it doesn't make sense because the Mishnah already said she doesn't get ksuba, so there's nothing to yarshin. You can't talk about the Yorshim, the next generation yarshining her ksuba. It means if she died and she has Yorshim, and she could have Yorshim theoretically from either husband. I mean, she could have the children that she had from the first husband, the children she had from the second husband, that really wasn't a husband, but she thought it was. So neither of the Yorshim get her ksuba. So the words are difficult because we don't know of any ksuba yet. She lost ksuba. She lost ksuba. So if she lost ksuba, I talk about the Yorshim. So that Rashi says the Gemara is going to talk about it. So we have to wait to the Gemara to say.
The second woman gets the right to ketubah. The second marriage, if she's a single woman and she can marry, she gets a ketubah.
I'm not sure what you're saying. Here it says Ein look ksuba. She lost ksuba. She doesn't get ksuba. She doesn't get ksuba. That's what we said on the right away in the beginning. So what does it talk about? What does it mean over here when it says the Ein Yoshin shall say Yoshin has ksuba? So there is no ksuba. That's the kasha that has to be asked. And Rashi asks it, and he says the Gemara is not talking about it. The Mishnah continues. The Imesu. Here comes a little bit yevamos. The Imesu achiv shel zeh v'achiv shel zeh. If the brothers of either one of the husbands died. I'm sorry. Imesu, if they died, comma. Achiv shel zeh v'achiv shel zeh chosim lo miyavmin. If any one of them died, she has two husbands. It doesn't have two husbands. She has one husband, but she married somebody else also. She thought, and now, if any one of let's say the first husband died, with no children, and he has a brother. So is there chalitza or yibum? Tanakama says only chalitza, no yibum. So
I would hope so.
What?
I would hope so because she's not considered his husband. She can't carry his seed.
What do you need?
She's not considered his wife.
She really is the wife of the first
No,
one.
but she's.
She really,
but
but the
once
Raisa,
at the din,
yeah, no, but it can't be made. Have to be machmir. It can't be making. But the Raisa, what is she? The Raisa, she's really the wife of the first one. So why is there no? So you can say don't do yibum. You can machmir not to do yibum. Do chalitza.
Always when we have any suffix, we say chalitza and no yibum.
So it's not a suffix. He's saying that's a chumrah that we're making it as if not to do yibum. Don't do yibum.
Right.
Don't do yibum.
We always any suffix and.
So chalitza not yibum. So he's saying that with the Raisa, you could have done yibum, but midrabanan not. So, but they say different. There's another fact that comes in over here. We have in the beginning of the Masechta that woman who's muzana, and then the husband dies. There's no chalitza or yibum. The Gemara said in the beginning that it's considered. It says with the word tuma, when a woman has relations out of marriage, it's called tuma, like by the parsha of Sota, and just like and tuma is like erva. So the Gemara learns out of there. There's no yibum either. So that is the question. How come?
There's a kula, somewhat of a kula that she didn't live the kavanah.
So it could be that what you're saying is right. But we're just saying that. So it could be that. That's the question. What would be with the Raisa? What would be under the Raisa level? I was saying that with the Raisa level, maybe there's nothing over here because she was Mazana. And if she's Mazana, then there's no chalitza, no yibum. So you're saying that maybe it's not so bad. Maybe it's not so bad.
One level lower than pure
so we do allow chalitza. Maybe we should allow yibum. Maybe no yibum now. Okay. That's the end of the Tanakama. So if we have the whole list over here, these are all the things that the Tanakama said that we result of this bad move. The fact that she got married again, and we find out the husband is still alive, the first husband is still alive. This is what comes out. Oh, I didn't finish the sentence. How about if the second husband died? The second husband died, So what should be minadin? It's really not married. They're not married, and you don't need anything. But with Rabbanan, we say she should be chalitza. It looks a little bit like a husband. It looks a little bit like a husband. So we'll do chalitza. That's not a kasha. That means the raisa is nothing, and the Rabbanan do chalitza. The first one, the chayim with the raisa, we also can talk about what should have been with the raisa. Is she a zona? Then there's nothing. Or is she not such a zona? So then it should be yibum. No, chalitza without yibum. That's the end of the list. So now we're going to have three opinions.
What do we do with our cloud that if there's no possibility of both Yibum or Chalitza, then you can't do it either?
I think that's only when if there could be drabanas. We have a lot of times chalesis lomas yabemas. That's very often in the Masechta. We just said if it's at the Raisa level that there's no yibum, there's no chalitza either. I think that's the cloud, but there could be drabanas.
So you say this is the Rabbanan.
Yeah.
But she was married to husband number one. She's straight, unfortunately. So the Rabbanan, there should be a Chalitza.
Right.
If the husband number one dies, there should be a Chalitza.
Right. Right.
Relationship.
Now the Gemara is gonna the Mishnah brings three opinions that argue on some of the points that we mentioned. Some of the points that we mentioned, the Gemara is gonna the Mishnah is gonna say some opinions argue. So we have here coming up Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon, that they argue on different points. Each one argues on a different point. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Ksubasa al Nechse Bala Rishon. That seems to argue. I'll just highlight a little bit, maybe the points that they're arguing on. That Tanakama said there's no ksuba, but Rabbi Yossi says that there is ksuba. Rabbi Yossi is arguing on this point of ksuba. Rabbi Yossi Omer Ksubasa al Nechse Bala Rishon, that the first one, second one, no, there's no ksuba for the second husband. It's not a marriage at all. But what Tanakama said, there's no ksuba, lo al zeh v'lo al zeh. So Rabbi Yossi seems to argue and says there is ksuba from the first husband. On that one point he argues. Rabbi Elazar, oh, that's good. That Rabbi Yossi argues on the point of ksuba. She doesn't get ksuba. Rabbi Elazar Omer, Harishon Zaka b'mitziyasav ma'aseh v'paras l'reh. He argues on this point. Tanakama said that they don't get, the husbands don't get the mitzvah, the ma'aseh there means the findings, the earnings, and the right to nullify the vow. And that Rabbi Elazar argues. And he says, he does, the first one. Again, the second one is not married at all. But the first one is married as far as these three things. So he argues on that point. And Rabbi Shimon Omer, B'yasa, Chalitzasa, Miyachav, Shal Rishon, Pateres Rabasa, Bein Avlad Mamza. So he argues on 2 points. He argues on Yibum. And the last thing that Tanakama said was that there's no Yibum. So on that, Rabbi Shimon says, B'yasa. B'yasa means the Yibum. That if the brother of the first husband would have done Yibum, it is a good Yibum. And the Chalitza also is a full Chalitza, not only with Rabbanan. And the proof is because Pateres Rabasa means when it says here, it could have been understood that it's only with Rabbanan. If it's only with Rabbanan, so then that's sorry. If he has a co-wife, he has 2 wives. This first husband has another wife also, besides this woman who got married a second time. But there's another wife. He has 2 wives, and he died without children. So if the chalitza to this wife is only Rabbanan, that means it's not really a chalitza. So the other wife would need her own chalitza or yibum. If there's 2 wives, there's a co-wife. So if the chalitza if this chalitza is not a real chalitza, like Tanakama, we learned to Tanakama that really, I don't know, is it a good chalitza or not? We weren't sure what kind of chalitza this is. But Rabbi Shimon says that the chalitza that's done to this wife of this wife, so it even patters the tzara means that it's a chalitza, it's a real chalitza. But he says more than that. He says also biyasa. He says even biya. So he's arguing on what it says that there's no yibum. He says the biya is also a good biya. So maybe I'll just change this a little bit just to make it clearer that he's arguing on what it says without biyabnin. Biya means yibum.
Rashi says liyasa echalitzasa areisha koled diktani loy biyavma.
So if Shimon says she could do yibum, there is yibum, and it's a yibum. Of course, if it's a yibum, so then pateres sarasa. That's if you allow her to do yibum, that means that it's full fledged. It's daraisa, and also it shows that the chalitza is not rabban. The chalitza is daraisa. But he says again, shal mishal. The second one is not a marriage at all. And even if there's going to be chalitza to the second one, it's not going to part to the co-wife if there happens to be another wife because it wasn't a real chalitza. But the first one, it is a marriage, and even says you can do yibum. and the chalitza is going to be a real chalitza, not a chalitza drabanan, and it patters the tzara. So he argues on the point.
That would be the best, what's the word, the best solution.
What's the best solution?
She still gets married, and she gets a new ketubah at that point, stays in the family,
No.
or the first one.
Wait,
No, her husband, that first husband died, but
yes,
the brother.
yeah, but we said till now that there's no yibum because we're saying that they're out. She's mazanes, considered nurse, and she's
Now,
understand.
yes, now we're saying
So now I don't know what you mean the best scenario. This is like, it's he's arguing on the first halacha. The first one, Tanakama said that there's no yibum because she was mazana.
but he's saying
And he's
no.
arguing, it says that this thing argues on. He says that there is yibum. And his explanation is, if it's
I'm
nurse.
not sure what the law is. But
Okay.
I'm just saying that if this worked out, it's a good scenario.
What is a good scenario, man? I'm not sure.
She comes out with some kind of.
He's saying he's saying that the fact that she could stay in the family.
Next to the original.
Okay,
Because she really didn't mean to leave him. you could
Okay,
say.
everything else is still going to be true. That Tetzim Mizah Mizah, it's forget Mizah Mizah, below Peiros. This is one point he argues about.
Her
Yibum,
name is a little
and one-
bit
and-
exonerated.
And one, I'm not sure why you're looking to exonerate her. Ve'en avlad mimenu mamzer. And also argues on mamzer. That also was said in the beginning. It said avlad mamzer mizeh mizeh. So also Shimon argues and that says that avlad of the first one is not a mamzer. So some of the points of the Mishnah are challenged by other of the Tanakh. So that's the end of the Mishnah so far. The Mishnah goes a little bit further, but it's a new point now. That was the case that the woman that got married with one aid, and her husband came. So a long list of things that what's the word? We'll see if it's a knas or not. She's really married to the first one. The second one is really nothing. But we made chumras that take her out from both husbands and the whole list. And some of the points, 4 of the points were challenged by, or maybe a couple of more, the Mitzia, Masiyah there, first and the rest. So Rav Yossi challenges the point about the ksuba. Rav Yossi is the one who says that there is ksuba. And Rav Elazar is the one who challenges the thing about Mitzia, Masiyah there, and the first way he says that the first one does have those rights still. And Rav Shimon argued on 2 points. One was about Yibum. He says there is Yibum, and from the first one, and also there's the Vlad Mam, that the Vlad is not a mamzer from the first one. Those are the points that were argued upon.
Ein holech mimenu mamzer?
Havlad.
Oh. Ein havlad.
What's the next thing?
Now starts the new Mishnah, so to speak. That till now, we spoke about Bo v'amula meiz balich. So I'm going to say the Pshat of the Gemara, even though it's hard to see in the words, but that's till now we spoke about v'amula meiz balich. And now, Nisa Shalom B'Shus. So I put 2 dots over here to show that it's a whole new Mishnah. We finished the first scenario, which was Amulom Meiz Balach B'Nisas. That she got married because they told her that her husband died, which we learned that means there was an Eid Echad. There was one Eid. It doesn't say so fresh in the Mishnah, but we explained it that way. And now the Gemara now the Mishnah goes on, a different case, different scenario. Nisa Shalom B'Shus. So the superficial words sound worse. It sounds like she got married without permission. It sounds like a bad thing. The first one got married with permission. The second one got married without permission. But the Gemara explains altogether different. The Gemara explains, did she need a special permission? Did she need a special permission? So in the first case, she needed a special permission because only Eid Echad. And the case in this is Shlo B'Shus, the Gemara is going to say means that she didn't need a special permission because she had 2 Eidim. So even though the words don't seem like that, that's how the Gemara is going to explain. So now we're talking about what if she did have 2 Eidim. 2 witnesses came and testified that the husband died. And she got married, and then the husband came. It wasn't true, but she had 2 Eidim, and then it says Muteres Lach Zolo. Then she couldn't go back to her first husband. The whole Pei Dutel was only the Eid Echad. If she relied on an Eid Echad, she can't go back, and all these things. But if she had 2 Eidim, 2 witnesses came and said that the husband died, then she could go back to her first husband, and that's the end of that. I think so.
Just possible to Rashi and Nisa Shalom B'Shus. Sorry for the 2.
So Rashi says the Bo Shnei Eidim.
That Shalom B'Shus has them. Shbo Shnei Eidim Ba'amur Meis Ba'alayich. And Nisas Me'atzim. Sherry Lo Yoisa Tzriach Lehet.
So that's what I said. I said the Rashi.
That-
That means she didn't need special permission because she had 2 Eidim. Of course, the 2 Eidim, but she doesn't interrogate them in her living room. She has to go to Bezdin in order that Bezdin should interrogate them. But she doesn't need a special permission from Bezdin to get married because she has two Eidim. It's not Bezdin, like you could say that the Bezdin, there's a department of interrogating Eidim. That's what she needs. She has to go into the interrogation department and they saw the Eidim are good. And then she gets married because she has two Eidim. She doesn't need a special certification or permission to say you may get married. That's how Rashi explains. The Gemara is going to say this. It's very hard to figure it out from the Mishnah alone that this is Shlomo just means she had two Eidim. But that's how the Gemara goes. That the case of the Mishnah in the beginning was that she had one aid, and Bezdin said she can get married with one aid, and that's a chiddush. And the second case is that she has two aidim. She doesn't need any special permission. And then if her husband comes back, then she could go back. She's considered like an onus. That she had good proof. She had two aidim, and even though they came out they were lying, or they made a mistake, and the husband comes, here he is. So she's allowed to go back to the first husband, and she's married. Like all the other things don't apply. Now the Mishnah continues a little bit more, and the next halachas have to do more with the korban, Helchas korban, which has something to do with the Maseches Horayos. We really spoke about if it's her fault, not her fault, if she's liable, but here it talks about a korban. Al pi bezdin teitze yivtuman al korban. Lo nisis al pi bezdin teitze v'chayavis b'korban. So it talks about if she did it al pi bezdin, which is really the same thing we just spoke about. Shalom rishus and rishus. What does that mean? She got rishus bezdin or not? So again, the terminology means if she got it from Bezdin, it means that only had an Eid Echad. And Bezdin is the one who said she can get married. If she has two Eidim, that means she didn't need Bezdin. That's the terminology. It's a difficult terminology, but that's how the Gemara is going. So if she got married because of Bezdin, which means that she only had an Eid Echad, then Bezdin permitted her to get married. Teitze yivtuman al korban. We said Teitze. That was a Mishnah that said in the beginning. But she doesn't have to bring a korban. Why is that? So the halacha is this. It goes into Horayos, the Masechtas Horayos, which talks about the word Horayos means psak. The Bezdin passed the Horu Bezdin. So if the reason that she did what she did is because she had Bezdin to rely on, so she doesn't bring a korban. Even if they were wrong, she doesn't bring the korban. Rashi brings down this halacha about the Haroy. Haroy, as Rashi says, the Yachid. If a Yachid individual did because Bezdin paskin, so he's part from a korban. So in the case where Bezdin said that she can get married because she has an Eid Echad, then she doesn't bring a korban, even though she finds out that she had relations out of marriage. The Ma'aseh they were wrong, and her husband came, and it comes out that the relationship she had with the second man was the Eshesish, so she still doesn't bring a korban because she had Bezdin. She relied on Bezdin, but Lo nisis al pi bezdin, which means again that she had two Eidim, teitze. She does go back to the first husband, but she has to leave the second husband. That means the relationship she had with the second husband was Eishesish. But chayavis b'korban, she is chayav korban, even though she had two Eidim. Here goes the opposite. That even though she had two Eidim, she's chayav korban. As far as going back to the first husband, she's better off because she had two Eidim. But as far as is she chayav korban for the relations that she had, she's called a shogeg. But it's a personal shogeg. She even though she had two Eidim said two Eidim, and she's not get married. But then it came out she made a mistake. She has to bring a korban because she had relations out of marriage. But the first one was even only had one Eid, but she doesn't have to bring a korban because she was relying on Bezdin. If she had Bezdin to rely on, she doesn't bring a korban. If she didn't have Bezdin to rely on, even though she had Eidim to rely on, she does bring a korban.
And that's the akula.
Right. A kula in what? A kula in the one Eid.
Obligation
As a korban.
Goes with one Eid.
Right. She had one Eid, and Bezdin said she can get married. She doesn't bring a korban. We don't pass like that, by the way. We're going to pass that she does bring a korban, even in that case also. But that's going to be
everything else. She gets nothing. She gets nothing,
and she also chayav korban. She's chayav korban also.
That's
Yeah, but the Mishnah here holds that she doesn't, and that it says Jaffa Bezdin Shapotim Mera Korban, that the fact that it was a Bezdin in the beginning, then that's stronger, and therefore she's not chayav korban.
But she loses her husband.
In which case, yes, Teitze Mizeh Mizeh. But
In either case, whether she's running the Bezdin or she or her own name.
no. Then it says she Materas Lachsalo. Here it says she goes back. This is Shlebrishus Materas Lachsalo.
As long as she has two Eidim.
Yes, I see. I made the dots in the wrong place over here. Okay.
I see in the beginning. It's what different.
So
You said nice. You said.
We really don't know yet. The truth is we don't know yet. You know more than we know, but we don't know it yet. Today we're going to find out. We just have the facts so far that by Eid Echad, this is the halacha, by stating this is the halacha. And the Mishnah now spoke about a korban. It said if she married because of Bezdin, which means the Eid Echad, and Bezdin is the one who authorized her to get married, then even though she was Mizana, she had relations with a man out of marriage, she doesn't bring a korban. But if she had two Eidim, which the is stronger, and you say that if she surely should not bring a korban, no, she does have to bring a korban because she wasn't with Bezdin. It was on, so to speak, on her own. Even though Bezdin says he has to rub, she has to rub. The Rav said, yeah, you have to weigh them. You don't need me. You have to weigh them. But then she's chayv a korban. This has to do more with Horius. And we'll get it more as we go along. Yafa, Horius means so it means Horu, like Horu, Beit Horu. It means psak. Horu Bezdin. So then, if the person relied on the psak of Bezdin, so then they don't bring a korban. Sometimes the Bezdin will bring a korban. Sometimes, if most of the tzibur did it, that's a paralim dobar chatas hakol. So here it says that even though the Bezdin is not bringing a korban, but she doesn't bring a korban because she was relying on them. But if she had two edim and she doesn't need the Bezdin, so then she does bring a korban. Now the Mishnah sends off one more thing, is that if Bezdin said she couldn't get married, she had an Eid Echad, and Bezdin said she couldn't get married, but she took the opportunity, so to speak, not to get married, but to be Mizana. She says, I'm not married, my husband died. Bezdin's telling me I'm not getting married. It doesn't mean that my husband died. So instead of getting married, she was Mizana, out of marriage. Not that she's Ashes. She thinks she's not Ashes. But she had relations with somebody out of marriage. So Haru Bezdin Nase, Valcha Vakilkala, since the permission that Bezdin gave her was to get married, even though it's based on the fact, we think it's the fact that the husband died. That's why they're saying she can get married, but that doesn't mean Bezdin gave her permission to be Mizana. Bezdin gave her permission to get married. If she gets married, and then it comes out that it's a mistake, she won't bring a korban. But if she was Mizana, Bezdin never said be Mizana. Bezdin said get married legally the way you're supposed to. So then she will be chayv a korban because she can't say I'm under the wings of the Bezdin.
Just one question. We bring a korban on Shogeg here.
This is yes. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't amazing over here. Kilkula, no, she doesn't. No, Kilkula does means that she had relations with somebody out of marriage, but she doesn't think that she's married. She thinks that she's a pnuya. If a person had relations with a woman and he thought that she's not unmarried, not married, and it comes out she is married, wasn't there? Is a korban because it was a mistake. He didn't mean to have relations with Aisha Ish. Both of them. She didn't think she was married, and they had relations. So it was a funny about not a good thing to do, but it's not no raz, they say. I mean, everything's relative. And then they find out that she's Aisha Ish. So they have a korban because they did it by mistake. Even though it wasn't the grace of tzaddikim, but it's not an avera of chatas. They didn't know they're doing a chayv kares. They thought they were having relations without any marriage. Okay, funny about me. What's the avera exactly? It's not clear what the avera is. It's lo yisi a kedusha means she's miyuchedes listeners, but a one-time thing. Is probably not allowed either. So what is it? Rashi be down someplace that you see goes well yichud penuya. You see you're not supposed to. I'm not sure. Okay, so that's all they did. So they won kedushim to you, but it wasn't a chayv kares, and then they found that she was Aisha Ish. So that's a mistake. That's a shogeg. But the chiddush is here that as far as Bezdin, that not to bring a korban because Bezdin told me I'm allowed to get married. So Bezdin says we told you allowed to get married, of course, because you're not married. We think your husband died, but not that you're allowed to be Mazana. So she can't go under the wings of Bezdin that Bezdin told me to do. Bezdin allowed me. Bezdin didn't allow her to do this thing, even though she's been lamdanista. And she says, why did Bezdin say I'm allowed to get married? Because my husband died. So again, my husband died, so then I'll have a punny boil up pnuya. No, that's not Bezdin. She can't say I'm butter from a korban because Bezdin told me. That's that part of the Mishnah. Now the Gemara opens up the subject. What are we talking about? The Gemara starts. When the say for this shelo b'shus, b'teres lachsalo shelo b'shus Bezdin, elabeidin. The Gemara is analyzing the Mishnah. What does it say? That means the Gemara is only going to figure out what the words in the Reisha mean. The green. The Gemara is analyzing the green highlight that talks about in the beginning Meis Balach, and she got married, and the sefer was Nisa shelo b'shus. So the Gemara is going to figure out what these words mean from what these words mean. Nisa shelo b'shus means that she didn't need Bezdin. How did she get married? With two Eidim. The Gemara is figuring out for us. We said already in the Mishnah. I have to read the Mishnah. And if that's what it means, then the Reisha means that she had only one Eid. That's how the Gemara figures it out. Here's the Gemara. The Tani say from the Shishal B'Shus B'Teres Lachsalo. When it said in the Mishnah that she can get married again, that go back to the first husband if she got married without a special permission. What does that mean? Shishal B'Shus Bezdin. Elawat. How did she get married? Ela Be'edim. That's what the Sefer means. The Sefer means that she had Eidim, two Eidim. So what's the Reisha? Mechlal the Reisha B'Shus Bezdin Uveid Echad. That's how the Gemara figures out what the Mishnah means. So the Sefer means, Shlo B'Shus means that she had two Eidim, and the Reisha, that it was B'Shus Bezdin, Meis Ba'al, that means that it was Eid Echad. So the Gemara right away comes in and explains the Mishnah. The Reisha means one Eid, and the Sefer means two Eidim. And now the Gemara opens it up. So you're telling me that Eid Echad is enough to get married. Alma Eid Echad Neman. That's that our Mishnah says that Eid Echad is enough to be believed to get married. She's allowed to get married. We allowed her to get married. B'Shus Bezdin, we allowed her to get married because there was one witness that said her husband died.
How does that work?
That's what the Gemara wants to know. The Gemara is going to ask, how do you know this? The Gemara is going to ask Manolan. We'll get there soon. The Gemara says Manolan. But first, the Gemara is going to bring another two proofs that the fact is true, that Eid Echad is Neman. First, our Mishnah, and then there's going to be a second Mishnah. Let's just highlight the three proofs. We have our Mishnah. That's the first Mishnah. Then it's going to bring also Tanan Nami, and then it's also going to be also a Tanan Nami. There are going to be three proofs that Eid Echad is believed. And then the Gemara is going to ask, Min. So here it goes. The first right is our Mishnah. The Mishnah says that she can get married with Eid Echad. Utanan Nami, another Mishnah. This is later on at the end of the Masechta. Lios Masian Eid Mipi Eid, the Isha Mipi Eid, the Isha Mipi Eved, the Mipi Shifcha. The Mishnah says that they, at the time, the Bezdin, they started marrying more people, even Eid Mipi Eid. Here it says a bigger chiddush, not only an Eid Echad, it says even more than that. Even an Eid that says I didn't see it, but another Eid Echad told me. That's Eid Mipi Eid. Usually you don't trust Eid Mipi Eid. You have to say I saw by myself. Someone comes and says, he told me. And he testifies what he told me. That's not enough. Bezdin says, tell him to come here. We have to have the person who's the, how do you call it, an eyewitness. It can't be an ear witness. It has to be an eyewitness. That's the person who saw by himself. That did heard from somebody. But here, to marry off a woman, even Eid Mipi Eid is acceptable. And also, Isha Mipi Isha, that not only Eid kosher, even a woman. Woman's usually not believed to say testimony, but here a woman can come, and even she also says, not that I saw it, but another woman told me. It's also good enough. We're very lenient to marry off somebody, even testimony of one Eid, even in the name of another Eid, even if they're women. Isha Mipi Eved and Mipi Shifcha, even if a woman comes.
On the terrible chumrah of the beginning of the mission. These are coolers of how she can get married, but
Yeah.
But they don't save her from the
Right.
disaster. So what's the point? I mean, what's the good of it? It's not
We'll see.
helpful. It makes it more enticing.
Okay. The Gemara then is going to put it together, but so far we don't know a connection. And Isha Mipi Eved and Mipi Shifcha, even more cooler, not only an Eid Echad, not only an Isha, even an Eved Knani and a Shifcha Knanis, they usually surely not believe. And here a woman says that I heard from an Eved or a Shifcha that he died. That's even enough. That's also enough. So a lot of coolers. Also, what does the Gemara say on this? Al Eid Echad Neman. So you see Eid Echad is enough. Not only that, you see Eid Echad, even a woman, even an Eved, even Eid Mipi Eid. That was right number 2.
I'm sorry, just to get clear, the Mitzvah says that Bezdin is accepting this one aid, one.
Yeah. Bezdin comes. Bezdin accepts an aid that comes. Not only an aid, even a woman that comes that I didn't see it myself. My Eved, my Shifcha told me. The woman comes and says, my maidservant, the Shifcha Kananis told me that the husband that she saw that this woman's husband died, and I believe her, and she can get married.
So just to reinforce the Chaim David's question, how do we deal with the ratio?
That's what it says. It says in the Beisha that you trust in Eid Echad. It says if the husband comes, so then big problems. But how, in order to allow her to get married, that's enough to allow her to get married. At the end of the story is to see that story. The husband came back, but usually the case will be the husband doesn't come back.
So they live happily ever after.
And was she allowed to get married? Here it says that's enough. That's enough that she can get married. And the third proof that Eid Echad is enough. This third one is not going to be about the marriage. It's a different subject. Somebody comes and says, you ate chaylev. Chaylev is the rice of chores, kind of the fats. And he says, I didn't eat. He denies the witness. He says, you ate. I saw you eating lunch. You ate chaylev. Comes to best and says, this man's chayv to bring a korban. And he says, I didn't. Potter, he doesn't have to bring the korban. He's not. He can't. An Eid Echad can't force him to bring a korban. Otherwise, Bezdin forces someone to bring a korban. We could deduce from that that's only because he denied it. He said I didn't, but if he wouldn't deny it, the Eid Echad is enough. So also you see, here it's not a question about getting married, it's a question about being behind the korban. But to be behind the korban also, you need testimony because Rashi says that if it's not, you didn't need chaylev and it brings a korban chatas, so it's chulin bazar. You're not allowed to bring a korban which is not really a korban chatas. So you don't bring a chatas on a suffix. And here it says you do. That means eid echad is enough. So we have three proofs that eid echad is enough. One our Mishnah, one the Mishnah at the end of the Masech talks about eid echad to marry off a woman whose husband died, is supposedly died, and one is that eid echad is enough to be mechayiv a person a korban. And that question has been on. Where do you know this from? Where do you know that eid echad is enough? We know two eidim usually. How do you know here eid echad is good enough? So up to the Tanya, two lines before it spreads the Tanya. Oh, hoda a love chataso. Over there talks about a person who was informed of his avera, so it brings a korban over there. So it says it became known to him. Oh, hoda a love chataso. But the more the Brisa says, but if other people told him, he's not chayiv korban. The chayiv korban is only if he found out, but not that if other people told him. So far it says Edom. So far it sounds like Edom are not enough to make chayiv a korban. The Brisa continues. So we don't know yet. Let's see. The fact that it does say oh hoda a love, so we learn out that only if he denies them, means when we said that other people cannot be mechayiv a korban, it only means if he's denying them. But if he doesn't deny them, then he is chayiv. That's what the Brisa says. We don't know yet if it's talking about one edim or two edim, but the Brisa says that these edim, informers, the ones who told him. So if he denies them, they can't obligate him to bring a korban. But if he doesn't deny them, they could obligate him. That's the end of the Brisa. And now the Gemara is going to analyze the Brisa. Who are we talking about? Like Chaim David said, who are these people? One, two. Elim with the Asu trade. If there are two people that are coming over here, two of them say that you did Avera, and he's not denying them. What are you pasuk for to say that they believe? Of course, two of them are believed. Two of them come and he doesn't deny them. Of course, they believe. There must be that one aid is coming. Only one has come to say a chayv korban. And if he doesn't deny them, so counter them, so then he is believed. That will be right. If this is going to be the proof that the case of the pasuk that says, "Oh, hoda a love," that says that the eid echad is them, but as long as he doesn't counter them, this is the pasuk. So the Gemara wants to know Manolan. The answer is so far the Gemara says this is the pasuk that it says, "Oh, hoda a love, mikol makom." The mikol makom means even if it's only someone else informed him. He didn't know by himself. Not that he figured out by himself. They told him, and the Gemara says, "Can't be talking about two eidim. It's talking about one aid." And what do you see? The Gemara says the raya is because you wouldn't need a pasuk to say that two eidim obligate him a korban. You wouldn't need a pasuk to, of course, two eidim. Two eidim is always enough.
No, if it says, I'm thinking of the word hodak. Isn't that a singular form?
No.
Hodim,
I think the word just means it became known to him.
Nonsense. So it's a causative, whatever.
But the Gemara says they wouldn't need a pasuk for two aid. They must be talking about one aid. And it says that one aid is enough to obligate him a korban. The Gemara thinks that it has a proof. But the Gemara challenges this proof, refutes this proof. Second white line, who says that the reason why he has to be a korban is because he's believed, and that's what the pasuk is saying, that the one aid is enough to be mechayiv a korban. Dilma mishum the kashasik. Maybe because he was quiet. It's not because the eid echad. It isn't the eid echad. It's really just his own testimony that he says he didn't say anything. The fact he didn't say anything, we'll take it as an admittance. That's we say tashtika koda. If you didn't say anything, someone accused you of something and you don't say anything, it's like you're admitting it. And if he's admitting it, so Bezin takes it that he himself said. And really, there's no special din. It's really called that he's chayiv because he himself is the one who said that he's chayiv. Of course he's chayiv. Of course we're going to force him to be a korban if he himself said he's chayiv. But the scenario was that eid echad said you're chayiv a korban and he didn't deny him. The fact that he didn't deny him is a proof that he agrees. Not that he's just taking the information, which is maybe questionable. Maybe he's just quiet because he doesn't know. Why should he say anything? He doesn't know. But the Gemara is taking it that his silence is a proof that he agrees. And if he agrees, so the reason why I'm chayiv a korban is because he himself said I'm chayiv. And the Gemara is even going to tell you that. The Gemara is going to try to back it up that the case why we believe this aid is not because of the aid, it's because of his admittance. Kitani Sefer Amru Shnayim Machalta Chaylev Amru Lo Achalti Potter. Rav Meir Machayev. Here it talks about two Eidim that said you ate Chaylev, and you chayv a korban, and he says I did it. He denies two Eidim. Can he deny two Eidim? So Rav Meir says he cannot deny them. Means that they're believed against him, even though he says that I didn't eat. They told him, we saw you eating in a tray for restaurant, whatever, the shogeg. You thought you thought that it was kosher. I saw you eating it. I know that it's chaylev. So it's chayv a korban. He says I didn't eat. I wasn't there for lunch. So Rav Meir says it's chayv to be a korban. Doesn't force him to be a korban because two Eidim say chayv a korban. I'm Rav Meir, so Rav Meir didn't know what I'm talking about. How could you say that he could deny two Eidim? Two Eidim can do anything. Two Eidim is very strong. Even if you shnam they misa, they can even kill him. If two Eidim come and say he didn't have Eretz Chayv Misa, so you can say he's not enough to be a korban. If you shnam they misa, chamura, although if you they korban a cow, if two Eidim is enough to make somebody Chayv Misa, could they not make him Chayv a korban? Amulos, Rabbanan said no, there's a difference. Ma'am yesaloma mezela yisi. Here, even if the fact will be true that he ate, he still could get out of the korban by saying I did it intentional. Intentional doesn't bring a korban. So when Bezin comes by Chayiv Misa, Bezin said that they say it's Chayiv Misa means he did it b'mezid. They can't argue with the Eidim. But here they say did it b'shogeg. They say you ate in a tray for restaurant. You didn't realize it's a tray for restaurant. He said I knew it's a tray for restaurant. So I'm telling you I didn't eat. And if you're going to force me to bring a korban, I can tell you that I was amazed that you can't force me to bring a korban. That's machlokes. But anyway, what does it say? That in the Sefer it says machlokes if he's believed against two Eidim. Rav Meir says he's not believed. One says he's believed. And the more is being medayik now that he doesn't argue on the ratio, that there's no machlokes in the ratio. The ratio was the case about Hodai love, that one aid, and nobody argued over there. But in the Sefer of that Mishnah, Brisa, it says machlokes if he's believed against two Eidim. Rav Meir says he's not believed against two Eidim, but I don't say he's believed against two Eidim. So Gemara continues now. Resha, my time at the beginning of the next page. Resha, my time will come a chayiv Rabbanan. Why do Rabbanan agree in the Resha that he is chayiv? What's the case? Top of the next page. If it's because the Eid Echad is enough to be mechayiv him, but trade ba'alma dafagav the kamakashiv who inu mehemni the kapatri Rabbanan. Usually, two Eidim are surely believed. But over here, the Rabbanan say that they're not believed because he can argue with the two Eidim. Elamishum. So what's the Gemara's cheshbon over here? If the one Eid is believed, Trey Ba'alma, even though he's arguing, he denies them, he's not believed. And over here, still the Rabbanan say that he is believed. So how could it be that in the Resha, that if he'd be arguing with the Eid Echad, if he's believed against two Eid, the Mishal believed against one Eid. So what's the case of the Resha? The Resha says that one Eid is Machayiv Korban. What's the case? The Rabbanan say that even two Eidim cannot be Machayiv Korban. So how could the Resha say that one Eid is Machayiv Korban? That wouldn't make sense. It must be because he was quiet. El Mishum Deishtik, he didn't deny. And the Sefer is talking about they had two Eidim, but he denies them. There, the Rabbanan say that he's potter because he denies them. And the Resha says that Eid Echad is believed. It's talking about that he didn't deny them. Because if he denied them, the Rabbanan surely hold that he's believed. On his not, because he can even argue with two Eidim. Surely he can argue with one Eid. So it must be the Resha that says that Eid Echad is believed, must be talking about that he did not deny them. And that the Gemara sees, it's as if he was admitting to them. If he didn't deny them, that means that he is admitting. There's a kasha on this because maybe he's not denying them, but he says, I don't know. Not that I'm admitting. I don't know. Yes, I don't know. No. But the Gemara doesn't see that possibility. So it means that he must be admitting. And therefore, the Gemara refutes the first proof. You don't see anything. The Gemara, again, just to sum up what we saw so far, to zoom out, the Gemara wanted to know Minolan. How do you know? How do you know that Eid Echad is Nema? The Gemara brought this brisa, and it's highlighted in the green. And the Gemara thought that it means that he's the Eid Echad is Mechayiv. The Eid Echad is obligating him. But the Gemara refutes it because maybe it's Shtika Koda Damya. That's the reason why he's believed over there. Not that the Eid Echad is believed. Maybe it's only because he is admitting. So the Gemara slugged up that proof. So we're back to start Menolahu. How do we know that Eid Echad is Nema?
Excuse me, Rebbe.
Yes, please.
Couldn't it be that when it says ishtik, it means completely? So that means that he didn't say anything, but if he would have even said, I don't know, then that wouldn't be called ishtik.
Yes, you're right. That's a question. You're asking a question that you don't see over here. You're trying to answer my question. You're answering
your question, saying that ishtik means he didn't say anything, but if he said, I don't know, then that's not called ishtik.
So how come, it's true, good maybe, but how come if he's quiet, Why is that another way of saying I don't know? Why should he say anything? The guy comes and says you ate. So why should he say I don't know? I don't. How do you see in the fact that he was quiet that he's admitting? Maybe he's just saying I don't know. You're probably right, but I don't understand it. How come when a person is quiet and Eirech comes and says he ate chaylev? Why should he say anything? He doesn't know, so he doesn't know. So he's quiet. And the one says Eirech is not enough. It's because your admittance. He said I admitted. I didn't say anything. So you're probably right, but I don't understand it.
Based on the saying that human nature would be that if somebody feels that he's not, if he says nothing, maybe human nature is that means I'm admitting something. But so that's why he would want to protest.
Even though he doesn't know.
The only time it knocks off the Eid Echad is if he says I didn't eat. But if he
Yes,
doesn't say,
yeah.
or he says I don't know,
Right,
then
but
it's weak.
so but the Gemara is not saying because he doesn't know. It's saying because he admitted. By being quiet, he's admitting.
Right.
So that I don't understand. When a person comes, he had lunch that day, and someone comes and says, you should know that it's
So we
chaylev.
always say shtik.
No, shtikah does mean when he should have said something. That someone says that you stole. So he says he has to say something. He doesn't say, he admits it. But if the guy says you ate chaylev, and he doesn't know if he ate chaylev, he ate lunch today. The Gemara disproved the proof. So we're back to first base. How do you know? How do you know Eid Echad is enough? The Gemara thought I had a right. There's no right anymore. So here goes what Ella Svaro. We can figure it out on our own. You don't need the pasuk. We can figure it out from reason. What is the reason going to be? If you have a piece of meat, you don't know if it's kosher or not, and the Eid Echad comes and says that it's kosher, he's believed. So you see, Eid Echad is believed. How do you know? How do you know he's believed? The Gemara doesn't explain, but Rashi tries to say because that's how else you wouldn't be able to eat by anybody's house. You couldn't even eat in your own house because you come home and your wife says that it's kosher. It's like I can't trust. How do I know? It must be Eid Echad Neman B'Yisurin, that you could trust somebody. You could eat by your house. You could be at somebody else's house. So the Gemara thinks that's enough raya to say that so too in our Mishnah. And Eid Echad is believed both by marrying off a woman that her husband died, or by being chayv korban chatas. Eid Echad is believed, but the Gemara still is not happy with that. Midami, what's the comparison? Hasam lo is chazik yisura, hachas chazik yisura. Ve'ishes ish ve'in davar sheber v'pachas mishnayim. That regular case that you can believe something's kosher is because there's no it's chazik yisura. Means we don't know till now that it was us. You had a piece of meat, you don't know if it's kosher or not. You don't know, and someone comes and says that's kosher, okay, but there wasn't a status quo that it was us. It means the Gemara is going to say there's more of a chiddush to say that something that till now was usher and it became with it. There's a difference between that and something that you don't know, yes or no, and someone comes and says that's kosher, that's good. But here, if there's going to be something which till now was usher and now it's changed status, that's a bigger chiddush. So that's the Gemara's that. And here till now she was a married woman, and now someone's coming to say something which you didn't know either way. It was no status quo. It's kosher. Okay, we can believe that. But how do you know that even if something how do you know if hope that I'm still audible? How do you know if somebody was on a status quo of Isser, and now Eid Echad comes and says that the status changed? That's a big chiddush. Right? Again, to say that something, a piece of meat, you didn't know is a kosher or not, and someone says it's kosher, he's not changing his status. He is telling you information that you didn't know. I didn't know, and now you tell me it's kosher. But if there's something we knew till now was Isser, and now you're saying that it changed to become mutter, that's a big chiddush. And the case of the woman over here that we knew till she was married, now he's coming to say the husband died and you could marry. So that's a chiddush. We're saying that it went out of the status quo. How do you know that? Usually, you would say that it has cheskaseshes, and also even as you know, you usually do have to have Eidim to talk about erba. Just trying to get this on again. Why is this not working? Okay. What? That's not that. That's something else. That's I'm not sure why it's not working. Okay. Okay. Plus, the lemon. Well, if there's a piece of meat that you know is treif, and an Eidach comes and says that I know that it's kosher. You believe him? You don't believe him. So here also, you knew that the woman was also, she was a married woman, and now you're saying that she's mutter. But the Gemara right away said that doesn't make sense either. Of course, they make a treif piece of meat to kosher. Nobody can do that. Even 100 Eidim can't do that. That's a miracle to make treif piece of meat to become kosher. A married woman could become mutter because she become a widow. So that's what the Gemara says right away. The Gemara is just working it out with us. Even if 100 people will come and say that meat is kosher, you know that it's treif. It's treif. But maybe if two Eidim are that husband died, so maybe one Eid is also good enough. Meaning to have a tevel, hektish, konamos, 3 examples. The Gemara is going to talk about 3 different examples, but the Gemara is going to talk about each one. Hektish, what's the case here? Tevel, no good. Okay, we'll leave it. Tevel, hektish, and konamos. 3 examples the Gemara is going to talk about that they could change status. Tevel means that it was untied and you're not allowed to eat it. And then someone comes and says that it was tied. That means that it wasn't. It's not saying I'm treif meat that's kosher, that you can't change. This is changeable. And if you could change the status of tevel to say that is already chulin or hektish, and somebody was poded, hektish also could become mutter. Someone was poded. Or kanamos could be that someone's going to say, a kanamos asked something, you made a nether, something's asa, and it's possible to rescind it, to be shown on the nether. So things that are changeable. So 2 Eidim are neman. So maybe 1 Eid is also neman. And the Gemara thinks at this point, this is the reason we know that Eid Echad is neman, the same way that a person is the Eid Echad is neman on these 3 things. I will try to highlight it because maybe it's going to help us. Tevel, that's 1. Hektish is the second one. And the third one is kanamos. These are things that are asa, and their status could change. And 2 Eidim could change it, and 1 Eid also could change it. And if that's true, so too, the Gemara is going to suggest that you could also take testimony to say a woman is mutter to her husband, that her husband died. But the Gemara is going to challenge all three of them, and the Gemara starts challenging them now. And the Gemara is going to say, in other words, who says? The Gemara says, "Hi Tevel Echidami." We spoke about Tevel, which is the case of Tevel that Eid Echad is neman. Idi day we should have been able to. So the Gemara is bringing in another fact we didn't talk about till now, that there's more spot that a person should be believed if it's in his power to change the status. There's one point that Eid Echad says, I'm telling you that the status changed, but it's not in his power to change it. But if it's in his power to change it, it's a much stronger reason to believe him, because if he wanted to, he could have changed it himself. So by Tevel, if it's his own, a person could tithe his own produce. So if he says it's tithe, he has a big strength, because he could, if he wanted to, he could, even if it wasn't, he could do it right now. It's called biyada. So that's not a proof to the case by a married woman, and it's coming to say that her husband died. It isn't biyada to be matir. He can't kill the husband. So that's not called that it's biyada. So who says that he's believed in the case when it's not biyada? Ela de echad, ela de acher. Must be the case of tevel of somebody else's. Somebody else's tevel, and he says, I can't tithe it, but I'm telling you who is tithe. Is he believed? My kasava. The Gemara says, if it's possible to tithe somebody else's things. So again, back to the same thing. That's what we said a second ago. That if it's in your power to fix it up, that's more reason why you believe. But and if you're going to say that the case is that it's not possible to tithe somebody else's things, but he's telling you that I know that it was tithe, who says you believe? It means the Gemara is challenging that we don't know that to be true. So, and so we're saying the reason why a person's believed to say edus that a woman's husband died is because a person's never to say that this tevel was tithe. Who says? Who says? Who says it's true? So we said if it's biyado, then it's not a proof. If he can do it himself, like it's his own, or he holds that you're allowed to be attacking somebody else's, so then it's biyado, and that's not a right to our case, because our case is when it's not biyado. So that's what there was questioning. Who says who says a person's believed to say on something tevel that it's kosher? Who says? Only when it's biyado. If it's not biyado to fix it up, maybe it's not believed. And then the Gemara goes on to the next one. Also, the Gemara can do the same thing 3 times by hektish also. Hektish nami. The Gemara is going to say the hektish.
Are we still working on single?
We're trying to figure out how do you know that Eid Echad is nema. We don't know. We don't know that Eid Echad is nema. It's only nema.
If these are things that are suffix, these are the Raisa questions.
The Raisa questions is Eid Echad
Even
nema.
2 Eidim.
No, 2 Eidim is good in the whole Torah. two Eidim al PH Eidim even the
Even
Nemanim.
the right
That we
issue.
know. That we know. We want to know about one Eid. And so far the Gemara says, I'll prove it to you because Tevel Hektish for Konamos, that a person is believed to say that the Tevel is kosher, Hektish is mutter, and the Konamos is mutter, and the Gemara with one Eid. And that the Gemara is challenging that I don't know that either. I don't know. If it's the Gemara says one Yisod that changes everything. When it's Biyodo, I understand that it's believed. When it's in his power to make that to affect whatever he's testifying about, that he could do it, he could take off Trumas and Maisus himself. And he says, I'm telling you that it was tied, then he's more believed because it's in his power to fix it up. But something which is not in his power to fix up, that's what the most questioning. Maybe Eirech was not believed. And don't tell me Tevel Hektish V'Konomos, because over there also I don't know that it's true. I'm asking over there also that Tevel, if it's not Biyodo to fix it up, maybe Eirech was not believed. And Hektish also, Mar goes through the same thing 3 times. He kedushas damim mishum de biyado of dosa. He kedushas aguf. And Mar says the step by step. If it's kedushas damim, something which is only the monetary value is hektish, so anybody could be poda. So then it's because it's biyado. I agree that it's biyado, then he's believed. But if it's not biyado, what's the din? Kedushas aguf. The Gemara wants to know: is it possible to take up kedushas aguf that the thing of the animal is, or the animal, whatever it might be, is actually kodesh? So is it possible to take it off? You can't be poded, but the other the biyado that shulei alei eladacher. That was the second question. That if it's something that he has the ability to take it off, it's biyado, so it's biyado, and that would be the case of hektish. That it's possible for him his own hektish that he could say I have harota, I didn't mean it. He showed on the hektish. So then it's biyado, and if it's not, so then he gufim and olam. Who says that he's believed on hektish if it's not biyado? And also konamos. Third thing, the same thing over again. That he asked something and now he says that it's mutter. If you hold that it's only kedushas damim and you could be poded, then it's back to the same thing because it's biyada. If it's not mila, it has to do with if it's considered kedushas damim and it's a iser. So again, could he be shown on it? And that's why he's believed because he could be shown. The same kasha 3 times. That if you just zoom out, the Gemara says the 3 proofs that you brought me, I don't know them to be true either. Tevel, hektish for konamos, that you say that it's possible, and Eirech is not one, I don't know it to be true. In all 3 cases, if it's a scenario which it's in his power to fix it up himself, so then that's why he's believed. And you can't prove that to a case where it's not in his power to fix up. And if it's not in his power to fix up, I don't know there to be true either. So that's the question. Back to base. What's called first base? That we don't know that Eirech is nemo when it's not biyado. And here comes Chaim David's answer. Amir Abzera mitoch Homer. This is a big answer now. Mitoch Homer shechmarta aleh besofa ikalta aleh betchilasa. That's the answer. The question was, why is Eirech believed? Why is it Eirech believed that the woman can get married? We invented a situation to believe that. We said, you should know, we tell this woman that if you trust the Eirech, investigate. It's very, very not sure. Eirech is not enough. But we're going to make a situation that you're going to be believed. What's the situation? That if it comes out that your husband never comes back, there's going to be, they will throw the book at you. It's going to be Teitze Mizeh Mizeh, Tzricha Get Mizeh Mizeh, Vlad Mamza Mizeh Mizeh, you lose Ksuba, the lows, everything, the whole thing, Yibum, everything goes. So you should know it's very big risk. If you investigate and you're convinced, so we'll trust you because we know that you're taking it very seriously. Because if you're going to make a mistake, you're going to have all of these problems coming at you. Because of the chumrah we made at the end, I'll lean it in the beginning. It means the only reason why we believe her is because there's such a big risk. She knows she's taking a big risk, and we invented this. We invented the situation in order to make her believe. The Gemara Sakasha, and this is what Chaim was saying before. I think Melissa said it yesterday that the reason why we believe her is because of this chumrah that you have in the end, and we invented it. We invented the fact that if the husband comes back, because of all those chumras at the end, that's the reason why we now could believe her. And she's taking a risk. And because of that risk, she's going to make sure she investigates well. And if she didn't, then it's her own fault. So who told us to do any favors? Don't make the chumras, don't make the kul. Don't let her get married. Why are you inventing the chumrah at the end and now it's a big risk, and now we're going to trust it because she's taking such a big risk. Don't be mechmer, don't be mekel. They insist we should be guna kilu b'rabbanan in order to give her an ability to get married, or else she's not able to get married. So we invented the situation to be able to be a believer. We're not just being mekel because of the guna. The guna makes us that we're going to make a situation that she'll be believed, and she's really going to be believed because the fact that it's going to be so serious, if the consequences are so serious, she's going to do a good job in investigating. So the Gemara comes out this Gemara has a lot of ramifications, not just as far as the case of Iguna. The Gemara just came out that a Eid Echad is Neman, the Isurin, only if it's the Yodo to fix it up. The other means that it's possible for him to affect whatever he's testifying about. He has the ability to affect that situation by himself. If there's tevel, and he has the ability to make it kosher. So
Excuse me, are we saying that with tevel, it would be a chumr, it would be very chumr, because in the end, if he eats tevel, that's a serious thing.
No, that's not the serious thing. The serious thing is only the case. So the case here also, the chumrah is not that if she's wrong, so she lived with a man that's not her husband. That's not the chumrah. The chumrah is these 14, 15 things that she has to get divorced from both of them, and she needs she loses her ksuba, peiros, bezonos, velos, blood mamzer, lo mitamiz elazeh. This is called the chumrah shachmarta. Not that
So we don't learn hekdesh and tevel and
right, hekdesh and tevel and kolomos ataka if it's biyodo. So again, if it's not as chazik yisura, if it wasn't that it was aser, just you don't know a piece of meat is a kosher or not, you don't know. So then I'm not sure meat, maybe meat's not a good example, but something that you don't know, it's not as chazik yisura, then eid echad is neman. But if it's a chazik yisura and it's coming to change the status quo and say that it became kosher, it became mutter, so then it's only mutter. You only trust him if he's biyodo to fix it up himself. But if it's not biyodo, we don't trust him. And over here, we invented a scenario in order to be able to trust her. Why? Because else she can't get married.
Where's the biyado in that last case?
Which case?
In the Eid Echad by
It's not. That's why we need this whole big scenario to make a chumash shachmarta. By tevel, someone comes, you come to somebody's house, and he has food, and he says that I tithed it. So you could trust him. Why?
Because he could do it.
Because he could do it. It's biyada. So since he could do it, he has more than one. But if it's something that somebody else's is kosher, not his, somebody else's is kosher. It's not biyada to fix up somebody to tag somebody else's. So he's not believed.
So, but I'm sorry, but we're saying Eid Echad Neman B'Yisur L'Gabe only because the Iguna, only in this situation.
No. Here we say that Eid Echad, even though it's a chazik yisur and it's not biyada, it's only an eman over here because it's a big chumrah to him. You have to get all these things together.
Even if it's not biyada, but if
It's-
it's biyada,
Then he believed, right? But
with one Eid Echad Neman B'Yisur,
when it's biyada,
when it's biyada.
but here it's not biyada, and he still believed because chumash shachmarta aleh b'seh.
And that's only by Iguna.
That they invented by Iguna, they invented the situation. Otherwise, they don't invent situations. They don't say if somebody is going to eat tevel, so then we're going to give him 100 malchus. We don't make a risk situation, a consequence situation, in order to give him more belief, in order to believe him more. Only by Iguna, in order to be able to get married, we made a situation that's going to be very big consequences, in order that we should be able to believe her.
And that's the only place we find it.
So far. And other cases, it goes with the cloud. If it's not as chazik yisura, if it wasn't a status quo that's usher, so then Eid Echad is believed. But if it was a chazik yisura, you only believe him if it's biyada to fix it up. Okay, yeah, everybody.
Well, for you,
Shkoyach,
you explained it really